Time for another Coffee with Kilroy, or what I like to call beverage and a book. You know what my beverage is. My book today, well, it's one I've talked about before, and one that I said I would come back to from time to time. This is Tales of War, Great Stories from Military History for Every Day of the Year. So basically you have a little anecdote or story or snippet from military history for every day of the year, so 365 days. So let's take a look at my reading today, because today is October 2nd. So we're looking at the 2nd of October entry here, which says, Saladin reconquers Jerusalem. 1187 today, the holy city of Jerusalem fell to the forces of Islam after less than a century of Christian rule. When European Christians had first captured the city from the infidel during the First Crusade, they had established there a kingdom, but by the close of the 12th century, the royal house was in steep decline. When King Baldwin IV died of leprosy, the throne should have passed to his young nephew, but Baldwin's sister, Sibylla, had other ideas. With her husband, Guy de Lusignan, I know I'm butchering that, so apologize. She seized the crown for herself and had Guy declared king. But Guy had neither the intelligence nor the ruthlessness of the former Christian rulers, and their Saracen adversary was the formidable and experienced Sultan Saladin, who had already been commander-in-chief of the Saracen army for 16 years. Born in Mesopotamia, modern Iraq, Saladin was a devout Muslim, totally committed to the idea of jihad against the Christians and the recapture of Jerusalem. In July 1187, he completely routed the Crusader army at Hatton. Let's see, 4th of July, I think well, I don't know if I've covered it from this book, but I know I've covered a game from that. I'll put a link to that down below. And then marched on the holy city. After only a short siege, it fell to the Muslim host. To the delighted astonishment of the conquered Christians, Saladin and his men treated them with kindness and courtesy rather than the indiscriminate slaughter that had followed the Crusaders' capture of the city on, and then this says the 15th of July. So this book is covering Jerusalem in some detail. Nonetheless, for Christians in Jerusalem and all over Europe, the fall of the holy city was considered a major catastrophe to the Saracens, who, however, the date itself must have confirmed their belief in the divine righteousness of their cause, for it was also on 2nd of October, over half a millennium before the Prophet Muhammad had ascended to heaven from the self-same place, Jerusalem. Jerusalem had been Christian for exactly 88 years, 2 months, and 17 days. So that is from Tales of War. Now let's go to another aspect. Crusader Rex. Now this is a block war game from Columbia Games, and this is basically the third Crusade. So this is picking up where we left off on October 2nd, where Saladin had taken over Jerusalem. This is the third Crusade, which is to reclaim Jerusalem for Christendom, and covered in this game here, Crusader Rex. Now, this is your standard Columbia Games block war game. What do I mean by standard? They have kind of a set system on their block war games that if you like that system, then this is the best place to get your fill of it. If you don't like the system, then you probably want to stay away from these. But I generally like Columbia block games, which are just that. They're blocks. So you're going to have a block, and you're going to have some hidden information or fog of war, in that you're only going to see this side if you are the Saladin forces. Actually, Saladin, yeah, that's Saladin right there. Nope, that's Al-Mashur. Here is Saladin right there. you're really going to see that side, and so you don't know what you're facing on the other side. And when you take losses, then you rotate this, and when you take that last loss, then this is removed from the board. So it's an interesting way of handling step losses, because you just handle it. You don't have to have multiple counters. You just have it on the block, and you can reduce it that way. But in general, this is kind of a bucket of dice type game, in that you're going to roll the number of dice that you have strength, and then the order in which you go is going to be in ascending or descending, I guess. A goes first, and then on down the line. So you can attack and eliminate your forces before they get a chance to attack. So there's a little bit of a priority aspect to it. And then you're going to have a 2-hit number, and each of the units might have different 2-hit numbers that you're going to have to roll on the dice. For example, let's take a look at Richard here. Richard has a 2 movement value. That's what that is. So that's how many of these points it can move to. It's a point-to-point map here of Palestine or the Middle East, and here you have Jerusalem right down here. And of course, there's defensive values, because sieging is a big aspect of this medieval warfare and portrayed in this game as well. So he's got 2 movement, but then he's got a B4, so that means he will attack when you have a combat situation. He'll attack after the A's if he still survives, and then he hits on a 1, 2, 3, or 4 when you roll on these dice. That's what the B4 stands for. And then if he takes a hit, of course, he rotates until he is removed from the board. That's the basics of the game, but you also have card play. You'll have a hand of cards, and these numbers tell you how many, basically add to your movement, how many groups you can move on the board. So this is how you do the movement, and then when you're in the same area or same location as an enemy, you do combat, or if you're at a city, there might be a siege. There's also some event cards that come into play as well. I mean, the assassin, the term assassin comes from the Middle East, and comes from a group of that were known as the assassins, or Hassans. And of course, you have them right here. So they 3 attack, and attack A3, and I guess once they get eliminated, they get eliminated. Maybe they have special use there. So anyway, mud. So that's the basics of this game. I like this game. And I like Columbia block games in general. They cover a lot of different topics. I'll put a link to some of my coverage of Columbia block games, and I probably should do more over time. But to me, this is a unique perspective on combat and how they portray it. And they're not the only ones that do block wargaming, but this is what they are known for. And I like this game. This game has a lot of depth to it. You've got this very narrow map, and as you can see, go up a little bit more here. It's a very, very long map. So you don't have a lot of area to maneuver, and there's a lot of the pinch points as you're attacking on here and trying to take over key cities. Of course, the prize is Jerusalem down here. And there's also coming up from Egypt, there's reinforcements for Saladin's forces coming there as well. So anyway, I like it. I like the look of it. I've always been a kind of a sucker for heraldry and shields and the like of denoting allegiance and different types of forces. Definitely gets away from the old NATO symbols. So I like that back from my Kingmaker days, and actually they have a block game on the War of the Roses as well. I think that is was that Richard III maybe? I think that's what that game is. Anyway, I don't have that one. So anyway, that's what I have for you today. I started on my Coffee with Kilroy, Tales of War. I thought this would lead into talking about reclaiming Jerusalem in Crusader Rex. Thanks all. Thanks for watching.